make sure it was clear. There was a morning session that's English. Tomorrow is the session when all of our East markets will participate. So you're welcome to be in both. But I just want you to know the plan is for tomorrow to have language support for the other markets. But anyway, I'm not going to take a ton of time here because one of the things that I know you're all anxious to hear is let's get into more of the details around India. Let's talk about what we can expect and how do we participate. But I just wanted to kick it off with a big thank you. As I look around this room, my thoughts were, I wonder how many, because I didn't know who was going to show. My question was, who's participated in a market opening? I don't even need to ask this question to this room. Every single person, as I look around, has participated and understand the opportunity in front of us. But it's been more than 2 decades since we opened a market of this size, with this kind of potential. And so I look at this as a chance for us to once again reignite. Last night, Ryan and I had a chance to meet with many of you, and Steve, we had a chance to meet with many of you. We there were reminded that the last time we experienced this type of an opportunity was when we had the age lock movement was created and the China opening. 2 going at the same time, and we all know the rest is history. We know what's happened since the opening of China, since that age lock movement. And I look at what we have in front of us right now, very akin to that. As we stare into the near future of the PRISM opportunity, coupled with the India launch, but more importantly, with our emphasis on partnering as leaders, the company doing our role, leaders doing your role, as we reignite or stoke that flame of we know what we do, you know what you do, and as we do this together, we're the best combination of ourselves. I can't imagine what we're going to accomplish together in India. The lives we're going to change. You're going to hear from Andrew and Mike here in just a minute, who have spent, I think, half of their lives the last year in India. And that's no small task. So I hope you'll take in what that means. How many of you have been to the India market? I'd just love to see. Okay, a few of you. You know, spending half of your life in India, what that means for somebody that's used to living in the United States. Somebody that's living in Europe. I just want to say thank you to these two for their commitment to Nu Skin, their commitment to you, their commitment to making sure that when this market opens, it's truly open to be able to accomplish our mission and do great things. There are 1.4 billion people that need what we have. And I'm excited for you today to hear some more details around what that looks like, product, get into some details on the compensation plan that we haven't got into, and some other logistics around how to participate and timing and all that. But I mostly wanted to kick it off by saying thank you. I'm excited about what this is going to mean. I'm excited about our future together. And I'm going to turn some time. Mike, I think you're kicking it off. So will you please give me a big hand to Mike Keller?
Woo!
Hey, good morning. Oh, thank you. All right. You guys are pretty energetic. We can have more 6:30 a.m. meetings. So on that note, we're doing it tomorrow, same time, same place.
Yeah!
All right. Okay, so it's been a year since we met together in Abu Dhabi, and we formally announced that we were moving forward with our India plans. Over the course of that year, we've learned a lot. We've been back and forth a number of times. My colleague Andrew and I have spent a lot of time in there, as Justin was saying. And we really feel like over the course of that year, we've gained a lot more information, a lot more insight into how we believe we can all collectively be successful in the market. We've heard time and time again from people that we've met with, whether it's product manufacturers, legal counsel, different types of consultants, different types of people who are in the same channels that we are in terms of products, in terms of opportunity, that this is a great time right now to enter India. Everybody says this. And so as we've heard that message repeatedly, our optimism continues to grow. Our hope for what we're doing to be able to connect with Indians in India who are looking for opportunity, who are looking for products that are going to help them look and feel their best, it continues to grow. So we're very excited that you're here today. We're going to talk in a couple of different sections. So you all know the data that we shared last year. We're going to touch on that briefly. Following that, we're going to talk a little bit about the product portfolio that Justin highlighted in the Global Team Elite Town Hall meeting. I think it was May 12th, that's what it was. And then following that, we're going to dive into some of the components of the business plan that we're putting together. So Andrew's going to walk us through that. He's going to connect it to the global incentive that we launched last year. We're going to revise that to make it more coherent and connect better with the direction we're going with our global SPP for India. And then we'll just end it if we have time. Hopefully we can take a few questions from some of you. We only have an hour, so I'm going to dive into this right now. But the first slide here, this is something that's not new to any of you here. Any of you who have looked at India at all, you can understand the size and the magnitude of the market. Obviously, it's the most populous country in the world, but in addition to that, I want you to all think about when you joined the Nu Skin business. At what age were you when you joined the Nu Skin business? Because as we look at India, we feel like the population trends right now that we see are ripe for the Nu Skin opportunity. You look at, out of that 1.4 billion people, 65% of the population are under 35 years old. Can you imagine that, right? We look at that in terms of millennial and Gen Z, 910 million of those folks. That's 3 times the size of the United States, multiple times the size of Western Europe. It's a huge wave of people that are looking for opportunity. And then specifically out of that, with the millennials, you got 440 million millennials that are out there. So everything we've heard in India, again, goes back to people are looking for opportunity. We know that the middle class is growing. We know the middle class is different. So the Indian middle class, for comparison's sake, roughly earnings between $6,000 and $35,000 a year, US dollars, which is vastly different than any of the markets that most of you come from today in terms of that earnings power that the middle class has and their purchasing power. That said, the middle class, which is currently the size of the United States, actually exceeds the size of the United States by a few million, then it's anticipated it's going to double in 20 years. So we see that rising, emerging middle class population. That gives us great hope because, again, we're connecting it back to opportunity. Let's talk about really what's happening with India in terms of how they're connecting, how they're promoting, how they're learning, how they're going out about their daily lives. 1.6 billion people connect to the internet on their smartphone. You go there everywhere from a person who's selling tea in a little stall with their mobile phone to a businessman, to a businesswoman, who they're out there conducting business as well and contacting people. We also see a lot of people that are promoting themselves online. They're promoting their businesses. They're connecting in a bunch of different ways. So if you look at this, it's kind of an eye chart right here, and it looks a little bit blurrier than I thought it would. But you've got the traditional WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WeChat. You've got 75% of the population that's really heavily engaged in those areas. And then as you go down below, you've got Facebook, LinkedIn, and then Twitter, Tumblr, WordPress, Reddit, Quora. So the population is very engaged in connecting with technology, just like everybody in all the markets where we live today. India is no different. The scale and the size of what's happening in India is what's different. So keep that in mind. Let's talk a little bit about the direct sales. So direct sales, 3.4 billion USD market. It's not our largest market by any stretch, but it's growing. And it's growing at a good clip, 8.3% CAGR over the last 3 years. And there are 8.4 million distributors that are actively engaging with other companies that are in India. The interesting thing that we see in India is the male to female ratio. So we've got a female-male ratio of 1 to 3. And what we're seeing is more and more females in India are starting to do direct selling. This is in line with a lot of things that we identified in our studies, that women are looking for opportunity, they're looking for recognition, they're looking to make a little bit of money to help out with the family expenses. And again, we believe that we've got the perfect engine to attract people who are looking to build a business around beauty and wellness. This is the breakdown. So wellness is by far the lion's share of direct sales revenue in India, 74%. That's led by Company H, I'm going to call them. Very successful. What we saw pre-COVID versus post-COVID is that's when they made their run. During COVID, they had a very successful stretch. They've continued that post-COVID, and we're actually very excited about that. Personally, I feel that they've gone out and created a lot of awareness around the importance of nutritional supplementation, the importance of what we're taking into our bodies. And so as they've gone out and created that awareness, I think it sets us up here perfectly for Pharmanex in terms of what we're going to be trying to do over there with our product portfolio and the way that we launch the market. Beauty obviously is a smaller segment. And so what we're doing with our portfolio will help connect us to a larger total addressable market. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then the other, that's anything from housewares to other things, other companies that are out there in direct sales. Where are we here? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the products. Last year in Abu Dhabi, we did say we're going to do things a little bit differently with products. We're actually doubling down on that. The more that we dive into India, the more that's reinforced to us by virtually everybody we come across, the value consciousness of the Indian consumer and the value-driven decisions that they make. Pricing is going to be very important for us. And so in order for us to be able to meet the pricing points that we believe are going to help us be successful, we're going to be manufacturing everything locally in India. So what that means is we're going to have local formulations, local packaging, a local look and feel. It's going to be a little bit different from our global Nu Skin approach, but at the same time, it's going to allow us to hit price points that are going to enable you to go out and attract more consumers and more brand affiliates who are interested in building our business long term.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Wellness, I mentioned a moment ago with Company H. They're really taking advantage of the emerging trends, right? If we look at this, 74% of Indians say supplements are essential. 63% are trying to lose weight. The Indian diet is very carb heavy. And so there are a lot of people that are aware of that and they're looking to lose weight. And 69% of Indians take supplements. These could be any kind of supplements, right? Anything from a very low price supplement to a more expensive supplement, but it's out there and awareness is increasing and people are becoming, again, more and more aware of what they're consuming. The beauty and personal care market as well, it's the fourth in the world in terms of revenue. Now, it's a little bit different than what we see in other markets because a lot of this is driven by very, very mass product and shampoos. But as we look to determine our play in India, we know that we have an opportunity by getting the price points right and then also building off of the trend that people are looking for more refined, more prestigious products. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of how we're positioning Nu Skin. Okay, let's talk about this. So Justin announced this on the call last month in May, and we're looking at a very simple portfolio as we go into India. If you'll notice here, we've got, and I'll get out of your way for those of you taking pictures. We've got on the wellness side, we're going to be anchoring our products with Prism. We believe that Prism is going to help us go in and differentiate ourselves from day one, and also really reinforce that our products do what we say they're going to do. With this, we've got a TR Meat Kit and a Core Nutrition Kit. But the Core Nutrition Kit is going to contain a product called LifePak Core and then Optimum Omega. The TR Meat Kit will have a LifePak, oh that's a mistake here. The TR Meat Kit will have a meal replacement, a Slim S, and Jumpstart. But with this, we really believe that this will help us be very focused from day one on what we're taking to the market. Each one of the SKUs in these two different product kits are going to have SCS certified a blend in it, an antioxidant blend in it that's going to be unique to India. And so they'll be connected directly to scanner results and the Prism results and the Prism performance. On the Nu Skin side, we're going to be anchoring all of the Nu Skin products with LumiSpa. By doing LumiSpa and Prism, that's going to help us anchor ourselves in the prestige category, the premium category, but then the products that we launch will be a little bit better priced, will help us, again, widen the net in terms of the types of consumers that will be interested in consuming these products. But with this, we've got a LumiSpa IO kit that will have the LumiSpa and the LumiSpa cleanser. We'll have a Nu Skin Glow kit that will have a facial cleanser, a brightening toner, another gel cream moisturizer, as well as vitamin C serum and SPF. Upwards of 65% of all Indian consumers use an SPF daily, so we think that's a very important part of the portfolio that we launch. From a Serenue Professional, this is something that Justin highlighted on the call, but Serenue Professional is going to be, it is a line that we've already developed. We've already done the first production run, and this line has been targeted towards being used in salons. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. I think it's the next slide after this. As far as core nutrition is concerned, if you look at LifePak 4, that's going to be different than the LifePak that all of you are consuming in your markets today. Steve alluded to this yesterday in his comments, and that by taking this approach, this will allow us to create a customized approach to addressing nutrient and vitamin deficiencies in the Indian diet. And so as we look at that and create a product to address that, we believe that first and foremost, people will be able to access a product that's very affordable, that's going to help them feel better very quickly. And then with Marine Omega, we all know the benefits of omega fatty acids, and we think that's a great add to this. From a TRV kit perspective, we've got the protein meal replacement, Slim S, and My Edge. Let's talk a little bit about Nu Skin versus Serenue. So this is the product line that we've created. We're calling it Serenue Professional. As we did our homework in India, we identified the trend that many, many Indians go to the salon on a weekly basis, if not every other week, for their skincare needs. So it's a very common occurrence across the different SEC channels, the different socioeconomic channels there. And so there are a lot of different mom and pop shops out there. There are some luxury salons out there as well. What we're doing with this is as we interviewed salons, we went and sat down with them and met with the owners of salons, we met with salon service providers, and we asked them a lot of questions about what influences their decisions in terms of what products to carry, what services to offer. And they shared a lot of information with us we thought was very useful in terms of helping us develop this line. They're always looking for ways to increase their revenue streams, whether it be through a new device or a new product. They really are interested in finding out how to service their clientele and differentiate themselves from all their competitors. What we see in India with all the number of the mom and pop shops that are out there, we feel that that's a perfect opportunity as we look at the scale of what our channel offers and the direct one-on-one, the training and the influence that you and your organizations can have to bring them on board. The Nu Skin line as well, this is representative of the line that we're going to be launching. But let's just talk about how we're going to differentiate them. In terms of the segment, Serenue is really designed to be used in salons and salon clientele. It is established as a professional line, so that's very important. Every salon we talked with asked if our products were professional. So we're marketing them under the professional tag. They're going to be more apt to take those in. The target audience, again, salon clientele. The science is going to be inspired by Ayurvedic wisdom. We've been partnering closely with our local product manufacturers on the formulations that we decided to launch with Serenue, and we're confident that these are going to hit the right spot in terms of what people are looking for out of the experience when they go to the salon. We all are also very interested in the device play there too. So a lot of Indians are hesitant to use a device on their face for fear of actually doing something to damage their skin. They go to the salon for those types of treatments. What we feel for this side is that they have the LumiSpa experience. That's going to give them confidence that the Galvanic experience is going to be just as positive. On a side note, one of the experiences we had in a salon, we had a salon owner she owned her own salon, but she was going to a luxury salon where we were actually testing our products. And she walked in and we said, well, we're going to go ahead and take you through this this series of steps in the service we're going to give you today. And she said, well, you don't need to clean my face. I've already cleaned my face. I own my own salon. I know what I'm doing. I've been a beautician for years. So she was confident that her skin was going to be very prepped for the service that we were going to give her. Well, she ended up accepting the LumiSpa, so we did LumiSpa on her, and she was shocked. For those of you who have been to India, you'll notice that the environmental factors are much different than in many of the markets where we live. She was shocked at how much dirt and grime came off of her face at the end of that LumiSpa session. And she was sold. She's like, how do I get one of these? I want one of these. So we think that that's going to be a very easy, intuitive, and compelling sell. Not only in the salons, but also on the Nu Skin side. Nu Skin, we're going to continue to try to differentiate in terms of it's going to be more premium. But with that said, with our local manufacturing, we can hit some good price points in the way that we package the products, and we'll have some good price points that will be attractive to the Indian consumer. So that's where we are with product. Again, local manufacturing, local formulations, local packaging. It's going to be different than what you have in your home markets, but it's also going to be more attuned to the needs that the Indian consumers have. So as we continue to develop partnerships with our local manufacturers, we're confident we're going to get greater and greater insights from them, not just with the ingredients that resonate with Indian consumers, but also with emerging trends. So we're looking to build this portfolio over time, obviously, as we get into market and experience some revenue growth. We've got a plan in place to also then increase the number of SKUs that we're making available in India. Now, with that said, I know many of you, as we've talked throughout this week, have been asking Andrew and myself about the business model. What are we going to do? What are we going to offer? What's going to be different in India? Because again, we said it's going to be different. Andrew's going to share with us how it's going to be a little bit different. He's going to give you some good insights. So with that, I would like to bring him up on stage. Andrew and I have worked together for the past few years. Originally from India, he's worked with Nu Skin for 13 years. He started in Nu Skin Europe. He moved to the United States. He's done a number of roles in commission planning, in the commissions department, global data and analytics, and then also most recently customer experience. So please give Andrew a warm welcome as he comes on stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Truly humbled to be here today to talk to you about India. I am so excited to talk to you about this amazing opportunity. But if you'll indulge me for a minute, I'd like you to take a moment and think about your personal life. And everyone's got a personal life. It's why you're here. It's why you chose to be here after months, after years, after decades. I want you to reflect on that why as I share my why. Mike told you I've been with Nu Skin for about 13 years, and it's true, I've been here for a long time. It doesn't feel like it, but it has been a long time. And, is it better? There we go. Okay, so it was not on. All right, so like I was saying, if you remember yesterday when Ryan was talking about our principles, he mentioned radical truth. Well, radical truth, I never expected to be working for Nu Skin long term. I started in Nu Skin Brussels on a 3-month contract as a finance intern, and truthfully, I was just like, all right, it's a job. I'll find something else while I'm working for Nu Skin. And 13 years later, here I am. It's really interesting when you think about it, right? It's really easy to work for a company when 5% of what we do is 95% of what we are. And that's really kind of why I'm here today. But even before all of this, right, like Mike mentioned, I grew up in India. I was a kid in India with big dreams and big goals. Growing up in India, I will say, I count myself extremely blessed and privileged. The life I had in India was not the life that most people have. I got to go to a school where English was the main medium of education. I got to spend my summers in Belgium and Europe. I got to see a Western perspective that most folks in India don't have. But at the same time, my day-to-day life in India was with folks of all walks of life. I had friends whose parents were entrepreneurs. I had friends whose parents were struggling to make ends meet. And as I finished my undergrad and I was looking to move to Belgium to do my master's, I had this kind of feeling. I was like, well, it feels like I'm leaving something, but it almost feels like there's unfinished business. And I never knew what that was until 6 years ago. Mike came to me and he said, hey, Nu Skin's gonna open India sometime soon. Do you want to be part of the team that helps open it? And I would say over those 5 years, I cannot tell you that this is what my why is. I want to be able to be in a position where I can contribute positively to the country that gave me a lot. So that's my why. And as I hope you reflect on your why, India, PRISM, the massive opportunities that Nu Skin have, I hope that helps re-energize your why. So without further ado, let's get into the business insights. I mentioned India is an amazing country, but it's also maddeningly complex at times. So you've probably seen these, but I think it's really worth mentioning because it is really important. We need to talk about who is eligible to build in India. And there's really only a few types of folks who can build in India. It's Indian nationals, so folks living in India. Obviously, we're not open in India today, so that's not the group we're going to talk about. It's non-resident Indians, so it's Indians who have an Indian passport, but they're working outside of India. It's overseas citizens of India. It's folks who have some sort of connection to India. Maybe their parents immigrated outside of India and they're first generation or second generation. People of Indian origin. For the purpose of today's conversation, that's similar to OCI. And then finally, we've got foreigners who hold a valid Indian business visa. Now, I'm not sure, but I'm fairly certain there aren't any Indian nationals in this room. And I don't think we have a lot of NRIs. I'm pretty sure I'm the only OCI or PIO in this room as well. And I don't know if you've had to deal with Indian bureaucracy, but I would not recommend the last option, unless you're Alan, because Alan's Alan. But I'm sharing this with you because I wanted to say, well, you guys are all here, and you're gonna look at me and say, well, Andrew, we don't fit in any of this, so why are we here? Well, let's talk about that. Do you realize that there are 20 million Indians of Indian origin or Indian nationals living outside of India? We've got folks, we've got leaders from North America here, we've got leaders from the Pacific, from Southeast Asia, from West Europe, Africa. There's 20 million Indian nationals out there. Justin mentioned this yesterday briefly, right? He mentioned one type of folk you might encounter in your day-to-day life. The next time you go to your Indian restaurant, great opportunity. But there's actually quite a lot of other Indians you might interact in your day-to-day life. You might have, your doctor might be Indian, doctor of prison, great connection. You might have someone you might go to a local salon, the salon owner might be Indian. Might just show you the stereo line, another great opportunity. So, with this diaspora is where this group can really play, because we need a groundswell of opportunity before we go into India, right? We need folks who are India eligible, who know the Nu Skin opportunity, who know the Nu Skin plan before we go into the market. I've never been here. I haven't been at Nu Skin long enough to be part of a market opening, but I've always heard that every time we open a market, it's our international leaders that help go and open. Ali's done it, Carl's done it, all of you have done this. So when we talk about who we need for India, that's going to be the folks we need. Now, I don't expect you to do this out of the goodness of your heart, but I know you are, because you're great people. But I want to talk about what's in it for you. So let's talk about the global growth pool. And I'm going to use Lena as an example, because we were actually just talking about this before we got on stage. So let's say you are an international leader. You do not want to go into India, set up a business entity, create a foreign, get your PAN card, your tax ID, all of that. But you want to benefit off of the growth that's going to happen in India. So let's say you are a brand rep. Lena's obviously a team lead out of Sweden. But let's say she finds someone who is India eligible. Maybe she goes to a restaurant. She mentioned she's got a good prospect who is in Sweden right now. Let's say she signs that person up. That person then becomes a Swedish brand affiliate. Now, between now and November, which is when our pre-launch is, as long as that Swedish person, that lady, becomes a brand rep by the time we open for our pre-launch, they are going to have the opportunity to go and create an Indian account. Now, this is where it's going to be a little different than other market launches as well. You'll notice that UK India eligible brand affiliate and that Indian brand affiliate, they're tied together with a line and not an arrow. That means that we're not merging accounts. India has certain regulations that require us to keep two separate entities. So the line of sponsorship in India needs to start and end in India. So what that means is that Swedish lady that Lena is bringing in, she's gonna have two separate accounts, two separate contracts with two separate entities. So she's gonna have a Swedish account that's gonna be through New Skin Sweden, and it can participate in the global SPP, but then she can also go and create an Indian account that's gonna participate in the India SPP. Now that's for the Swedish lady herself, that's for Lena's downline. Now what's the benefit for Lena herself? That's where this comes in, right? So when we open the market, when we do our pre-launch, as this Indian person goes into India, they start building their India leadership team, and they amass a certain amount of sales from that team. That's where Lena starts benefiting from it. So because what happens here is this person that's in India building a leadership team, it's essentially a sign for the Indian regulators where we can talk to them and say, hey, Lena brought this person into Sweden, she supported and mentored them. She's not in India with this person building it, but this person wouldn't be in India if it wasn't for Lena's efforts. So Lena is going to be compensated by New Skin Sweden, very important, not New Skin India, New Skin Sweden, through the global growth pool on a value that's going to be approximate to the lead bonus. So we've talked about this. I think a lot of you had concerns about this for the last year, and that concern is being addressed right here with this global growth pool. So we are going to be true to who we are. Like Ryan mentioned, it is still very much leadership driven with the global growth pool. And there's actually another amazing part to this, because you can treat this leg, this India leadership team, as an unlock. So what do I mean by an unlock? That means that this leadership team, all of that India revenue that they're generating, that's not the only revenue that you get to benefit off of. So let's say Lena has a few other G1s, and those G1s have India volume maybe on their G4 or G5. Because Lena has supported and mentored this Swedish person, she's actually going to benefit off of that India volume as well. So that again speaks to the leadership-driven component of our plan. These are aspects of the global growth pool that I am really excited about, because if you remember, because if you remember, Justin also mentioned yesterday, he said last year when we talked about India, Dubai, when we talked about the founders promotion, we were not sure if we could pay internationally, and that is very true. Like Eric and the team, we spent a lot of hours figuring out with the legal team, what could we do to pay? And the outcome is the global growth pool. So what happens to the founders promotion that we talked about last year? Because essentially the founders promotion was our way to say, hey, there's a chance we might not be able to pay. This is the kind of the stopgap. But now that we can pay with the global growth pool, what's going to happen to the founders promotion? Does anyone actually here remember the founders promotion? Close? Can anyone tell me what the rules are? I'll buy you a round of drinks in India if you can. Can anyone tell me what the rules are? No? What's that? 2 rupees? Yeah. 2% of market revenue. Yeah, you're all saying components off it. Does anyone remember that there was a component in there that said you need to have 10,000 India OV? Yeah. So there's all these complexities to that plan where I was like, okay, this is going to be really hard if this is our only option to pay. But guess what? With the new founders promotion, way simpler. I can actually tell it to you in this slide right here. It's 2x global growth pool, and if you're in India, it's 2x your lead. So double lead if you're in India, or double global growth pool if you're an international leader. For the pre-launch window, now think about that. It's no longer a 5% story, it's a 10% story in the pre-launch window. That is exciting stuff. Now I mentioned double lead or double global growth. That's because there's two kinds of people who could be India founders. You could be someone like Lena, who's an international leader, who's an India founder, but you could also have someone like an India eligible person who's going into India and sponsoring India brand reps themselves during pre-launch. So let's talk about that first scenario right here. This is very simple, right? So this is a similar outline that I shared in the previous example of how the global growth pool would work. So in this scenario, as long as you as the international leader are a Ruby Plus in the pre-launch window, you're gonna get double global growth pool. So whatever your global growth pool payment is, you're gonna get double of that. If you're an Indian, if you're an India eligible person in India, as long as you've built an in India brand rep, you're gonna get double of what your lead payment would be in that pre-launch window. Simple enough, easy? Yeah. No need for 10,000 OV, no need for rubies, all of that mess, right? Super simple. But wait, there is more. I want to talk to you a little about India's compensation plan, the in India compensation plan. It's not going to apply to this group here, but I think it's really important that you understand the rationale of why we designed it the way we designed it. Mike mentioned in my prior role, I was heading our customer experience team, and in that role, I got to listen to a lot of your feedback, understand your concerns, your needs as it comes to the struggles you deal with, the positives of Nu Skin, but also the negatives of Nu Skin. And I know that when it comes to our plan, one of our biggest issues has always been, it's so hard to explain, and it's so not flexible. So that's really what was the thinking as we designed the India compensation plan. And we can do this because India is kind of its own self-contained thing. Again, because of the regulations, because you need to have separate India accounts, we have the flexibility to make India simple. And by simple, I mean to the extent that India is actually going to be a currency-based plan. What does that mean? No SV. Yeah, really simple. You just say, you need to sell this many thousand rupees worth of products. That's it. Don't need to understand what SV is. And guess what? We're also not going to have a concept of DCSV, but I'm going to get into that later. Simplifying it even further. We are going to add this concept of a qualifying brand affiliate. This is kind of one of those areas where India is maddeningly complex because to sign up, unfortunately, we're not going to have something like a just-in-time sign-up in India because there's a massive amount of legal documents that you need to provide to us to sign up. A few of them being the company will need to provide you a valid ID card. You've got to watch like a company-mandated training, go through that. You've also got to have a food safety handler's license type of thing, and you've got to get that from the government because all Forminex products are considered food and food supplements. So to get that, you've actually got to go to a government website, apply for a license, and that's going to take some time. So what we're going to do in that time is we're going to talk about this concept of a qualifying brand affiliate. That's probably not going to be the final name. We're still working on it. But it's this idea of someone who isn't a full-fledged brand affiliate yet, but they've got a little bit of time to train and understand and learn the right behaviors. And what are those right behaviors? Pretty simple. You just need to sell 10,000 rupees worth of product. 10,000 rupees for context is about $120. So not massive amounts of money, but decent to show that you have the intent and the wit and the grit to become a brand affiliate. So once you do that, then you become brand affiliate, and then it's just like you always know it. And then finally, the last point, again, in the interest of simplifying, we're going from 4 bonuses to 3. Now that does not mean that payout is going down. Payout still stays the same. We're just simplifying from 4 to 3. So let's talk about what that simplification means. With the very first bonus, there we go, which is an L1 bonus. Again, these names likely going to change, but we want to talk about the concepts and the mechanics here. The L1 bonus is a really simple bonus where it says, as long as you are buying, you have the ability to buy at a lower price than the person you're selling to, you're going to get a differential. So let's say Lucas is an affiliate and he's selling to Haling, and Haling is a retail customer. So Lucas is an affiliate, gets affiliate price, and Haling gets retail price. The difference between the two is what Lucas is going to get as a differential. And that could be up to 25%. Now in India, we're also going to have a few different price points. It's not just member, wholesale, and retail. There's actually going to be a couple of others. And we can get into more details on that as we get closer to launch. Or if you're interested, find Mike and myself, we can get into the details of that. But I wanted to let you know that super simple, L1, you do X, you get Y. You sell something, you get up to 25% off of it. The next bonus is actually a combination of the bill bonus, the referring bonus. And it's, again, really simple. It's just an L2 bonus. Again, not final name, but you're gonna get a certain percent of all of your L2 sales. I'm sure folks with the USSBP, you're thinking, oh, it's 10% of your customer volume. No, 10% of all volume. Even if you've got a brand rep on your L2, you're getting volume off of that. You're getting revenue off of that. So if you're an affiliate, you're gonna earn 10% of your L2 sales. The qualifier is still L1 volume, but you're gonna earn 10%. And you might be asking, well, what's the motivation for someone to go from a brand affiliate to break and go into being a brand rep? That's where the higher tiers comes in, because as an affiliate, you're really getting 10%. But if you are a brand rep, you're gonna have additional tiers. You could earn 15%, 20%, 25% on your L2 sales. That's gonna help you, provided you're a brand rep. Now you might be saying, well, that's still not enough for a brand rep, because why would a brand rep only earn on L1 and L2? Because they have way more levels than that. And that's where the third bonus comes in. Now the third bonus, you are fairly familiar with. It is the lead bonus as we know it. And again, being a leadership-driven, customer-obsessed company, we're not changing who we are on that. In India, because it's self-contained, Ryan and Chase have said we can do a 5% 6 levels plan. Note that it is a risk that we're taking as a company, but it's a calculated business risk that we're saying we're gonna pay 5% 6 levels in India. But in addition to that, we're also gonna pay 5% on G0, which is essentially 5% on your GSP. So in addition to all that L2 bonus that you're earning as a brand rep, you're also getting 5% on your G0 or GSP. Simple, 3 bonuses, L1, L2, lead, that's it. You can explain it in 2 minutes. Awesome. So, I'm glad you guys are enjoying this part. I do want to talk a little bit about how we enable this, right? So I talked to you about what our comp plan is, what's in it for you, how you get incentivized, how folks in India get incentivized. Now ultimately, all of this is going to boil down to how we can enable it through technology. Now, I was on a call last week with a US leader who's been with us for a while, and the call was meant to be to talk about India, but we spent most of our time talking about Equinox, which understandably so, right? It's been an issue, but it's something that I know Joe and team are working furiously on to make sure that we're getting better at. And as we were talking about that, as I was recalling that conversation I had with that leader last week, I also thought a little bit about what Ryan said Charlie had shared with him, right? Big vision, small problems, small vision, big problems. I hope that you can see that India is the big vision, PRISM is the big vision for us, and I hope that you can know that we are going to do our best to make sure that things like technology failures are small problems for us, because the bigger vision is what's going to get us there. So when we talk about those technology aspects of being digital first in India, we know that we have to get the fundamentals right. So when we're talking about the fundamentals in India, for that pre-launch window, we're just gonna have the basics. We're gonna have a .com experience where you can sign up, shop, share, subscribe. It's your basic pathway to purchase. We're also gonna have BNG, because you can't manage your business if you don't know your data. And then finally, we're gonna have PRISM, so we're gonna have the PRISM app. But everything else is going to be a fast follow. So you might realize that I didn't say MySide, I didn't say Stella, I didn't say Avera, because those are going to be fast follows, because we want to make sure all of you have been involved with a lot of market launches. Stuff is going to go wrong, and we want to make sure we're minimizing that as best as we can so that you can focus on the bigger opportunity. So with that, I'm going to bring Mike back on stage to bring us on home.
That is so good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so I think we've got a few more minutes here, but there's a couple things I wanted to say in terms of wrapping up today. And that really is, as we prepare for November 1, going into India, everything that we've heard time and time again, and it's been reinforced by people that don't have any vested interest in our success. They always tell us, India is a marathon. You should never look at India as a sprint. It's going to take time to go in, it's going to take time to learn, it's going to take time to connect, But once you're there, and once you're able to go through that process, you're setting yourselves up for long-term success. So please keep that in mind as we move forward, that we are not looking to do this as a sprint. We're looking at this from a marathon perspective. We are doing our best to lay the groundwork for you to have a long-term sustainable business opportunity in India, from a consumer play as well as from a business opportunity play as you build your organizations through your India eligible brand representatives. So I would encourage you to continue. I know that many of you are engaged in this. We've had some really good conversations this week. And I think maybe there are some of you in this room who are kind of wondering, is India for me? Am I going to be able to find somebody that I can mentor and train and help them go to India and they can build an organization? I would encourage you to start that process if you haven't already started. Go out and find people who are eligible to build in India. And as you do that, set goals with them. Set goals, big goals. Go and figure out how you're going to participate and get a chunk of that global growth pool bonus that's going to be paid out, as well as the founders promotion. But we think that's going to be a good opportunity for us to jumpstart the market and really push forward with a lot of excitement when we launch. And with that being said, the last thing I'll say is we've released information on Binder. This it's a site that's put together that we are going to be populating with assets as we move forward. Currently, there's an updated version of the frequently asked questions. There's an updated version of our do's and don'ts in terms of what we like to see right now for India-based activity. We're going to be dropping more assets into this as we move forward. You can expect frequent updates, more product information, both on Sera-Nu as well as Nu Skin. And then following that, as we formalize the India SPP, we'll start to communicate that to all of you through this link. So I can't overemphasize this enough. Educate yourselves on what India is and how you can participate. Because building off what Andrew has said, the bureaucracy at times in India is maddening from a Western perspective, but also knowing that that's something we have to go through, we have to understand how to play within that environment. And this will help put you on the right path to understanding how you can play in that environment. And with that, how much time do we have? Where are we right now? We have 5 minutes? 10 minutes. Okay, so with that, Andrew and we're available here to take any types of questions you have, or if there are some general questions, if we bring the lights up. If anybody has a general question or two, we're more than happy to address that right now. Please.
Hi, really excited about what you guys are doing. Wanted to ask a little bit, maybe pricing questions. TR Knee Kit, do you have any idea what that's going to cost someone, like the whole kit?
Great question. Okay, I did not mention this, but let's get into that real quickly. So Sera-Nu, that product line is done and dusted. It's ready for launch right now. Our pricing for that is going to be anywhere from 1,000 rupee to 3,000 rupees. So in US dollars, that's about $12.50 all the way up to $36 per SKU. Okay, so it's very affordable. The only products we're going to be selling in India that are imported are devices. So Prism and LumiSpa and Galvanic.
And what about core as well? That's not very
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we're still working on final formulations for the Nu Skin product line as well as the Pharmanex product line. As soon as we get those formulations complete, then we move on to understanding the COGS for those, and that's when we determine pricing. But generally speaking, for the Nu Skin line, it's going to be a little bit higher priced than Sera-Nu. So where Sera-Nu ranges from $12.50 to $36 at the tops, you're going to be looking at the Nu Skin line being probably from $20 all the way up to $50 per product, and then Pharmanex will be right around there, if not a little bit higher. But if we're talking LifePak right now, LifePak Core, the pricing for that's coming in very favorable to us, and we're looking at something in the range of around between $25 to $30. I think right now it's just a ballpark figure, so don't quote me on that, but that's what we're looking at right now. And that would be for a 30-day packaging supply. Yeah, Carl.
Anything about the general opening and date, if there will be no inauguration, where, about, and so on?
Yeah, great question. So Right now, we've just announced obviously the November 1 pre-launch date. As we start to understand the level of engagement and understand the stuff that's happening in India in terms of brand reps, creation, brand affiliate, all the sponsoring that's happening and the revenues, then we'll move into a formal launch date. But I think right now, generally speaking, we're going to be doing second half of 2026. That's what we're looking at right now. And in terms of a launch event, yes, we will be holding a launch event. In November, we're going to make this information as well available soon. We're planning on doing a multi-city tour in November. So for those of you who are over there, please join us in these meetings. That'll be a good opportunity for us to kick off the pre-launch period, followed by a larger market launch opening event planned later in the year. So what we're looking at right now in terms of where our office is going to be, we really feel like Mumbai is the place for us to be. We've traveled extensively throughout India. We've assessed, obviously talent, where we can get the best talent to work for us in our office, as well as the mindset in the different cities. In India right now, if you look at from a west to a north and northeast, there are about 6-7 cities in that area that are responsible for up to 60% of the revenue in the direct sales channel. So we think that that's going to be a really good area for all of you to focus on. If you can think about that in terms of cities, you've got Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Kolkata, all those cities within that area. And within Delhi is a big, interesting area in itself. It's called the NCR, the National Capital Region. And there are several big metropolitan areas that kind of come together to form that area. And so there's a place called Gurgaon, filled with highly educated, highly motivated people looking for opportunity. And that's just south of the airport when you fly into the Indira Gandhi National Airport. But yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Sorry, I had one more question.
Just thinking about the structure of someone's organization as they come into business. So you have an India eligible person coming in, signing up in your market. Is it my understanding, based on what you all were saying, they're going to then create a secondary account in India? So they would essentially be their own upline. And so they would operate in their market, like in the United States, for example. They would operate in their market, their own organization that would be United States based, and then they would have a clone of themselves in India that would create a new organization. Is that correct?
Yeah, so,
Andrew, you got a more microphone. Come on up. Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What you're referencing is kind of similar to what we have as a BB or BC account. That is not how it's going to be in India. It is not a down account, it is a parallel account, but it's also two separate accounts. So when you think about volumes, maintenance, progression, two separate accounts, right? So from a user perspective, they've got in this case, a Singapore account that has all their global SPP data, their global volume, and then you've got an India account that has just their India volume, India data. Pros and cons to the approach, obviously, because you've got to maintain two separate accounts. The flip side to that is we're not requiring that you have to maintain both. It depends on where you want to get paid and how you want to get paid.
And you get paid global leadership pool off of your account. So my India eligible person would get paid on their own India eligible account as global leadership.
Yeah. So the grounding principle is obviously that we wouldn't double count the volume. So if you've got non-India volume outside of your global account, you're going to get paid on that from global growth. If you've got in India volume that's not a function of your global growth volume, you'll get paid on that. I just say that the foundational principle is no double counting on the volume. That makes sense.
Andrew, I think one thing that we need to clarify here is for anybody who's India eligible who goes into India and builds, so local regulations require that they establish an India bank account. We're going to pay them in Indian rupees. They're going to be taxed in India. So any of your India eligible people who build in India, that's their reality of how they're going to earn commissions in New Skin. So their international account in this example, the US account, they can continue to build that outside of India, but any sponsorship that happens in India needs to happen through that India ID and it will be paid exclusively in India. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ali, or I guess Buzz had a question before. Yeah, I'll start there.
First off, what a difference of information since Dubai.
A year can do a lot.
Yes, well, because you addressed the three issues as I've talked to people, Indian and Texas and so on, is that what are the products, how much are they going to cost, when is it going to open, and how much am I going to make? So thank you so much for that. Excellent. I have a question on the term approximate. It makes me really nervous. I mean, if I'm going to buy a car, a house, or a pair of shoes, and somebody says it's approximately, I'm not buying. So could you give us more certainty on that?
Yeah, so the reason I say approximate is because it cannot be a straight calculation off of India volume, because India volume needs to stay in India. So what we're going to do is have something that's closer to an algorithmic calculation that's going to get you close to the lead benefit. So it's going to be, there's probably going to be a little bit of variance, but I'm not expecting it to exceed plus or minus, I don't know.
I don't understand why it can't be, I don't understand why it can't be just 5%, 6 generations.
So there's there's a legal issue there because we cannot pay on volume that is being generated in India. In fact, Eric, do you want to speak to this? Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm certainly not the attorney, so this is not legal advice or legal statement. But as Andrew just said, we cannot pay a generational bonus on India sales outside of India. We cannot. We cannot pay G1, G2 through G6 on India sales outside of India. What we can do is structure an incentive that will pay extremely close to the same amount that a lead bonus would have paid. Extremely close. Okay? Are you understanding me? We cannot pay a lead bonus, but we can pay the global growth incentive. And it is structured so that it would be essentially equivalent to a lead bonus.
Okay, so Eric, is it sort of like what we've done in China in the past?
I don't want to compare it to China because China is an extremely different animal, as everybody knows. But the concept is similar in that we want to make it an equivalent level of pay. Does that make sense?
I would add one thing to that is it's also a reward on a different type of behavior. So the global growth pool is not a reward for building deep in India. It is a reward for supporting and mentoring your India eligible person in your home market.
We have to be very clear about that. We have to be very deliberate in how we are talking about it and how you all are talking about it and representing it as well. So I'm being told by the people in charge that they're going to need this room in a minute for tours. So I've got time for one more question, then we're going to have to wrap it up. But we'll stay here afterwards if any of you'd like to.
We're here all week, folks.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to do, Paul, I'm sorry. We're going to have to do rock, paper, scissors. But go ahead, Paul.
Of course, the people in India would want to focus on developing their market primary. But going forward, can they participate in the global compensation plan as well?
The answer today is no. We're going to leave India unto itself. And for us to be able to offer that in the future, there's a lot of things we're going to have to jump through right now. There are a lot of companies in India today that don't allow that for very specific reasons. So we're also trying to understand those reasons more thoroughly, to understand what that means in the future for somebody who is globally minded from an entrepreneurial perspective. Okay. I think we're done. If you have questions, we'll be over here. And thank you very much for your time. Hey, let's do this together.
Yeah, let's do it.